Molo Sanbonani, hello, how's it? Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's good to be back. Indeed, I have my voice back. The flu is pretty much gone and we're cooking with grease. This is Vuka Nazo, your morning news analysis show. My name is Sihle Ngobese. I know it's been over 2 weeks and you might have forgotten what your price of admission is here on Vuka Nazo, and that is to hit the like button. That's right, hit that like button right now, whether you're watching this simulcast on Facebook or on YouTube. And if it is on YouTube, then well, do me a favor, smash that subscribe button, hit the bell notification so that you're notified every time Vuka Nazo is on your screens. Now, with that being said, I'm reminded to you that we have a website. Visit us, please, at bigdaddyliberty.com. And yeah, you'll find latest information there as to where to find me as I look to hit the road again very soon. More of that details later. But with that being said, enough with the jibber jabber. How about we get straight into the news? All right, we begin here in what can only be described as delicious irony, where communists, that is South Africa's third largest political party, the Economic Freedom Fighters, led of course by the communist-in-chief Julius Malema, are now advocating for property rights. Yes, you heard that right. They are advocating in defense of property rights. Are these the same communists who've been demanding, indeed their claim to fame has been their demand, that you, ordinary South Africans, be stripped of your property rights, be stripped of your ability to say you own property in this country in favor of their policy, that the EFF policy of government owning all property and then deciding who can or can't rent property or land in this country. Now, they seem to have done a 180, a flip-flop, if you will, on their own policy now by defending the BaPedi royal house, which is experiencing land invasions, or as they called it in their press release, which again, I must say, you know, people had to rub their eyes. An EFF statement on illegal land occupation. Excuse me? Did the EFF just say illegal land occupation? What? Let me read from that statement and I'll show you exactly why this is delicious irony. Now, the EFF, of course, in Limpopo strongly condemns the illegal occupation of land which belongs to the BaPedi royal house at the Mohlatleti village. That's, of course, just outside Jane First. Now, apparently a group of unknown men accompanied by the SAPs invaded and trespassed. What? The EFF using the word trespass. The same people who themselves lead land invasions. As I said, we'll get to that in a moment. Trespassed land owned by the BaPedi royal house using graders and TLBs to clear the area, and as a result, illegal structures were erected. What? Illegal structures? And let me take a moment here to just give you a little bit of context. This whole matter that the EFF is describing here and suddenly defending property rights on relates around the BaPedi royal house, which is basically at the moment undergoing a bit of a succession battle, a succession issue, to which the EFF is clearly taking a particular side. And presumably the land invasion is a means of one faction of the succession battle tackling the other. Now, with that being said, the EFF then further say the following in their statement. Now, furthermore, the EFF will assist the BaPedi royal house in appealing the court ruling which declared the appointment of Queen Mother Manyaku Tulare as unlawful. Lastly, and this is where it gets interesting, we urge police to act swiftly and arrest the perpetrators for trespassing and invading the BaPedi monarch's territorial land. End of quote. Irony upon irony upon irony, and it's all absolutely delicious. This is the same party led by Julius Malema, who, as I said, their whole identity revolves around the idea of stealing land or expropriating land without compensation. They are the same people who have been inciting people across the country to, quote, invade land. The moment Julius Malema told us, you see an open piece of land, take it. It's yours. You can invade it, build a structure on there, and it isn't just words. They have been leading campaigns of this nature across the country, even as people like me, who defend property rights, who actually stand for the rule of law, have been warning that what the EFF are unbottling in this genie, the EFF, the tiger the EFF is releasing from this cage and riding on its back, will eventually turn around and eat them. So you'll excuse me if I feel as if this is a "I told you so" moment. As I said, the EFF has done more than just tweet about this. Malema has done more than just say, do this. I mean, he's spoken both officially in Parliament, basically saying no one will stop them on their campaign of illegal land occupations. Indeed, Malema actively calling for people to invade and occupy land, doing so in Parliament. Watch this.
Do with or without you, people are going to occupy land. We require no permission from you, from the president, from no one. We don't care. We can do whatever you want to do. Who are you to tell us whether we can occupy land or not? We are going to occupy land, yes. South African.
And again, it's not just in Parliament, it's not just in those ivory towers. The EFF physically lead campaigns of illegal land occupations across this country. And I've said it before, they often do it in the name of pro-black, or this is the black agenda. And I've warned in the past that any politician who tries to sell you that snake oil, that somehow being lawless and invading land is somehow a black thing, is not only racist, they are self-hating, and they actually hate black individuals. In what world do we consider land invasions a pro-black agenda? What we need is solid property rights. We've covered this very same issue when I warned, for instance, of the land invasions around Pretoria in Garankuwa. That was in episode 53. Do yourself a favor and go back to that episode. And there's many other episodes that I've covered effectively of the EFF encouraging and often leading these land grabs. It's quite simple, folks, and I'll conclude here. It is irony, and the EFF have zero legitimacy to talk about illegal land occupations when that is exactly what they've been calling for. And just because now those illegal land occupations are happening to people who the EFF happen to like, or the BaPedi Royal House as they seem to be stumping for them, doesn't change the fact that the BaPedi Royal House is experiencing illegal land invasions because the EFF, amongst other leftist parties and organizations and individuals, have been calling for this lawlessness in this country. Reject the EFF, reject leftist ideas of expropriation without compensation, and actually support the ideas that I stand for, which is the protection of property rights. Property rights are not just a white thing. Property rights are a South African thing. It protects those South Africans, the sane, sober, moral, prudent, hardworking South Africans who earn and buy or rent their property from actually being protected against the likes of Malema and other land invaders. All right, I take you to Gauteng now, where indeed the Gauteng Premier, Panyaza Lesufi, yes, that character who used to be the MEC of Education there. You remember his massive scandal, spending nearly R500 million spraying empty classrooms for the spicy cough, COVID. You remember that nonsense? That same chap who wasted money allegedly over there, seemingly now big spending, this time in the launch of the Crime Prevention Wardens. This is a 430 million rand initiative by the Gauteng government that was launched by Lesufi, which, let's just say, has been met with mixed reaction. Again, there's two principles here that I want to quickly argue. One which I actually support in this initiative, the other which I'm very skeptical of, dubious of, and I'll be watching with a hawk's eye. Now, the first principle, of course, is that crime in this country is out of control. We all know this. Gauteng in particular is a province that experiences very high levels of crime. So there's nothing wrong with the Gauteng government launching its own effective police or law enforcement unit by way of these crime prevention wardens. Of course, this is a welcome notion, and it speaks to the need, as I always say, for a more federal type South Africa. The South African Police Service, which is run by national government from Pretoria, should not be the only law enforcement agency in the country, especially because it's doing a very poor job of it right now, where in their own words, crime has begun to overwhelm them. They simply cannot, as the former police commissioner said, meet the mandate of the South African Police Service in the country. So of course they need assistance, and I've always argued that assistance has to happen in a more provincial way, devolving power to as local a possible level. So in that regard, I welcome the introduction of these crime prevention wardens, and indeed no expense should be spared, of course rationally, I don't mean just spend recklessly, but no expense should be spared in fighting crime and indeed beating crime. So the 430 million rand is not the issue I have with the crime prevention wardens. The issue I have is, number one, is the spending value for money? And number two, are these crime prevention wardens actually adequately trained to meet the needs of crime fighting in Gauteng? Indeed, I think that is where a lot of the criticism of these CPWs is coming from. But again, let me take 2 steps back and talk about this actual unit and its launch, which I must say, and this is where the mixed reactions came, from first impressions, I don't know, man. It's looking real dodgy up in here. But nonetheless, let me read from The Independent, which said the following. Now, the crime busters were ready to hit the ground running by patrolling for 24 hours in every ward and working in tandem with law enforcement authorities. They would have 2 shifts, the first one starting at 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. and of course, the second from 6 p.m. and proceeding until the next morning. Now, the Premier of the province, of course, speaking at this launch, said wardens would be appointed in terms of Section 334 of the Criminal Procedures Act, which declares them as peace officers who will be able to present evidence in a court of law. He's quoted directly saying, there will be no township, no single informal settlement, no single hostel, and no single ward that will be left without being attended to. End of quote. Now, again, it's all fine and well. You know, all hostels, all wards, all townships, blah, 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 blah. But who exactly is attending to those particular areas? Are these individuals actually fit for purpose? And this is perhaps where the criticism and the mixed reactions come in. But the real criticisms is about the quality of these particular recruits. The images left much to be desired in terms of just the unfit nature. Some of them looked shabby and shoddy. One particular individual who unfortunately went viral online went viral for all the wrong reasons, because he's severely overweight. He's obese. Homie's my size. And this is the source of a lot of the skepticism of what people saw on the day. You have to, if you're going to invest 430 million rand in a law enforcement agency that operates at a provincial level, you have to recruit the best of the best. And the fact that Panyaza Lesufi, the premier of the province, is doubling down on the unfit members, indeed him tweeting in defense of that particular obese individual, even sharing a video of his fitness trials. Watch this.
Umote! Umote! Umote!
Again, you saw in that clip, I mean, guys, I'm not trying to pick on fat people here. I myself am fat. But I'm also not delusional. I will not put myself in a position where clearly I'm not fit for purpose, especially when I'm not fit at all. It makes a mockery of these crime prevention wardens. And the fact that Panyaza Lesufi is doubling down on this basically speaks to just how tone deaf these politicians are. They surround themselves with yes men all day who clap and, you know, like seals for these politicians, saying, oh, wonderful, Mr. Premier, you can do no wrong. And it's on that basis that they're unable to accept rightful criticism. There is a sharp need. I will continue to say this. There is a sharp need for this type of law enforcement that is run at a provincial level. Indeed, the Western Cape have been a leader in that regard. You'll remember their LEAP officers. Now, let me not talk about those LEAP officers. Let me let crime expert and policing expert Dr. Johan Berger of the Institute of Security Studies, as he was giving an interview at another news channel, this is what he said about those LEAP officers. And if Gauteng is copying the Western Cape, then it should be supported. Listen to this.
Law enforcement officials, the LEAP officers, as they are called, law enforcement advancement program officers, that they have managed to make a very pronounced contribution to safety and security in the Western Cape, and in particular to high crime areas. And specifically as far as murder is concerned, they've been extremely successful in terms of finding and confiscating firearms, which is a huge part of the problem in the Western Cape. And they work very, very closely with the police, with the South African Police Service, and with local law enforcement, Metro Police, and so on. So it seems to be a very integrated approach that they follow in the Western Cape. And I think if there are lessons to be learned in Gauteng with the wardens approach, it should be the same thing, that there should be very, very close cooperation between the SAPS, the Metro Police, and these wardens.
So clearly there is the good and the bad and the ugly to this. The good is we should encourage the ever-increasing federalizing of law enforcement in this country, and of course the boosting, the adding of law enforcement resources, to dealing with the rampant criminality in this country. However, if you're going to spend the money, then citizens should see value for money, number one, and of course those same citizens need to get the best of the best to fight crime. This is where the verdict is still out on the Gauteng government and Panyaza Lesufi. All right, that's it for this episode of Vuka Nazo. We're back on your screens. Yay! Remember, guys, you can find us on our website at bigdaddyliberty.com. There, of course, you can also pledge some financial support to the work that we do. Anything between 50 to 100 Rand, 75 Rand a month is about the average that we do. Again, find us, please, at our website at bigdaddyliberty.com. With that being said, thank you so much for watching. All the links of the stories we did here are in the descriptor of the video. Make sure you head out and find those. And yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you tomorrow again, bright and early from 7 a.m. for another episode of Vuka Nazo.